Hey man, how you doing?
What you doing? I was here the last time.
I remember. Remind me of your name.
Matt.
Matt? Yeah, Matt.
Thanks for being out here.
Yeah, God bless you, Matt. Yeah, they don't like me out here. They want to kick me out. No, man, Scott keeps coming. We rented out this space so you can't be here. It's like, I'm not leaving, so they leave. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a little bit. Hey man, what's going on? Again, Brandon. I was going to say that, but I was afraid. So what's going on? Tell me your philosophy.
So I have been kind of like thinking about the whole abortion thing, and I came to my own opinion about it.
Okay.
So I think that I do agree with you that abortion is wrong.
Okay. Based on what?
So I think that it's non-religious, but I think that what you're doing is you're taking away the opportunity to experience life.
Okay. Okay.
I think on the other end, and I think a lot of people realize this, that it's also wrong to force women to go through pregnancy.
Why?
Because, obviously you have to endure a lot of suffering.
Why? I mean, I've had my wife. I have two, divorced, 5 kids, so I've watched them. I didn't see a lot of suffering. In fact, I saw them thriving. The actual pushing of the baby out was difficult.
Yeah.
So
labor obviously is very painful.
Yeah. We shouldn't kill a child over that.
Oh no, I'm not saying that, but I think it'd be wrong. I think it's, obviously it's more powerful if you actually
Yes, it is. It is.
If it's something that's happening to you and it's actually you want, you have the whole 9 months.
So you think, on one hand, you have...
The woman's body doesn't even have the immune system that delivers like the right signals to that.
Yeah.
The human body doesn't recognize it as something that's actually
Right. Yeah.
it is, it's something that's suffering. I think it's wrong to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's clear to see. I don't think that necessarily means that we should abolish it, but I think that should be taken into consideration. I think the main thing is about capacity.
So you think that discomfort should take precedent in certain circumstances over, I'm putting it lightly on purpose, all right, pain takes precedent over the value of another human being.
When you say pain, it's one of the worst pains that people can experience.
Sure.
But I think the more important thing is who has the authority to make decisions.
Yes, that's a good question. Do you think each person should have the right to make their own decisions for that? Then let's let that one have the authority to make his own decision. Exactly. That's the point. My point, and this is where we fundamentally disagree, and I was baiting you. Do you think people should have the right to make their own decisions? And I was baiting you into, what about this person? Of course, because we kill them before they have the capacity to. And there's a lot of people in this life that don't have the capacity to make decisions. Comas, mentally handicapped, even in your sleep. You don't have the ability to make decisions. I could come up to you and kill you.
You can choose that before you go to the phone call, or you can
Maybe.
assign the responsibility to someone who can make the decision for you.
I would say that the value of a human being based as being a Christian trumps a woman's discomfort in her pregnancy.
I think discomfort is kind of self-serving.
I've been there for 5 births. I've watched it. I'm not going to give you the bloody, literally details. I know from observation, and a hand that was almost squeezed to the point where like, wow, so it is this uncomfortable. But there's also another act, and let's not even talk about rape at this point, because we could. The fact that a woman who decides to have sex with a man, that is an act that can and does affect other people. So what about the responsibility that she has for that?
But I think the majority of unwanted pregnancies don't know what they say. They're like, whatever the case is, they're not intending for pregnancy.
But isn't that a natural consequence of sexual intercourse? In fact, isn't that the intended consequence of sexual intercourse from a biological standpoint?
From a biological standpoint, but I don't think from all standpoints.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, obviously, in the Constitution, separation of church and state. I don't think we should necessarily use religion to determine legislation.
All legislation is based on some form of moral basis.
Yeah.
So you cannot, to me,
But if you're gonna
abortion, let me just say this, abortion is those people imposing their moral convictions, religious convictions, atheistic or whatever, upon my Christian worldview, and my brothers and sisters are being slaughtered, so I am obligated to say no to them because they're imposing upon me.
But I mean, it's definitely. I would argue that I would argue it's equally wrong to force someone to go through suffering as it is to kill and child.
Okay. All right. I mean, based upon what?
That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah, no, and I get it. And there's reason behind it,
Yeah.
Brendan. I understand what it is that you're saying. But the reason I would disagree with you is because of the objective Bible that would say that all human beings are created in the image of God.
Yeah.
I was going to bring my book. I got a book of an electron picture of a zygote in a womb. And saying, see that? I believe that that is a human being who should have equal protection and equal justice under the law.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that it's not a victimless crime, It's hurting both parties, And I think it's a tough ethical, decision that has to be made, and it should be made by the person who's going to have to make that choice,
Yeah, yes, I hear you. And if the mother was ultimate, and your assumption is the mother is ultimate and therefore she has the right because it's her body,
Yeah.
I would say no, because the body that she's killing is not her body, it's a body inside of her body. And that other body should have the right to be protected under the Constitution, under a society, and have the right to live.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I put ultimate value upon human beings. Not ultimately, but yeah, all human beings created in the image of God.
yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with your point, but I don't know. I think
It's not easy, is your point, and I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think both situations are wrong. I think it's wrong to do both.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not pro-life. Pro-life would be more your view. Pro-life is kind of like, well, there's some circumstances where they're allowed, allow there to be there. And as an abolitionist, I'm like, no. It would be like in the slavery days, not that you're arguing this, there's some circumstances where it's okay to enslave a person. That would be as an abolitionist. No, there isn't.
Yeah.
There's some instances where it's okay to kill Jews. No, there isn't. There's some instances. It is.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
I think there's some similarities, but I don't think they're comparable.
I guess my only point from last conversation and this one is what is your moral standard, and how do you know if your moral standard is right or not? So what a person goes through suffering.
Well, in my belief, I don't think you can know or have a moral standard that is right. I think it's just what you should be educating yourself. You should be.
Unfortunately, we have politicians in the world and we have law.
Yeah.
So if we lived in, nirvana, I would be like, yeah, that's cool, man. But the fact that we live in a political state means that there are people with legislative power that will impose their will upon other human beings in one way or another. Either upon a mother that's pregnant and says you can't kill your child, or upon that child that says a mother can kill it.
I had a conversation with my roommate about this, and he said that I was more on the side of, so I'll give you an analogy. So let's say you have a person and they have $20 they just found on the ground, and you took it away from them. That would be wrong, obviously.
Okay. You found it, and I took away the $20 that you found?
No. Like they just found the $20 on the ground, and then once they picked it up, you took it away from them. That would be wrong. Versus if
Why?
Well, because you're taking from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thou shalt not steal. So you're invoking a biblical principle.
Well, I mean, it coincides, but I don't think it's necessarily only in the Bible. Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, and then the other one is, if you knew they were about to go see it, they haven't seen it yet, but you took it away from them before they were able to take it, I think that would also be wrong. He said that he doesn't think that would be wrong. So basically, that it would be wrong to I say it would be wrong to take away the human experience because you know it's going to happen. He says it'd be, would it be wrong because that hasn't started yet?
That's a tough, I mean, it's an interesting question of a dollar bill that someone else obviously must have lost and actually belongs to somebody else. They're gone instead of like, let's hold this and has anybody lost this or whatever, taking it, and I take it from somebody else. Yeah, it is. How you doing? Oh, watch out for the camera.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries. I just don't want to fall on. Yeah, the question always is, what is your moral foundation? How do you know whether something is right or wrong? And that's what I challenged you on last time.
Yeah.
If it's subjective, doesn't matter. What's the danger of subjectivity is those with the gun are the ones that will determine what is right and what's wrong. And if you disagree with them, they will use their power and force, might makes right, to impose their will upon you.
Yeah, but, I mean, whether you believe it's subjective or not, if someone's holding a gun, they're still at their, you're still at their whim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
If there's laws,
Yep, you're right. Except by the gun, I mean the political use of force. That's what I mean by it. So in other words, there's a form of legitimacy to it. So might makes right in a subjective universe.
Yeah.
Because it's the politicians who will take the subjectivity and impose it upon other people. And if you don't agree with me, I kill you.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot, all the rest of the tyrants.
Yeah, but I don't think you need an objective truth to determine laws. You can just go based off of the...
Yeah, that's what I said. And if we did that, then Adolf Hitler says, my subjective truth is that Jews are less valuable and let's kill them. They're hurt.
I think the majority of people have a pretty good understanding.
Well, there was a whole, how many Germans were there during Nazi Germany? I mean, there were millions of Christians even in Nazi Germany that shut their mouths as they passed legislation. I mean,
I also think that Nazi Germany is a little bit different from abortion, no?
in what way? I mean, it is. I agree, but in what way do you think it is?
I was saying in the way that abortion, these people that were over in Nazi Germany that were killed, like all the Jewish people, 6 million people.
Probably more like 40 million, but go ahead.
Yeah, but like, I think that is a completely different scenario because these are few people that are fully conscious and fully aware. These people have had lives for decades and decades, and that is all being stripped away from them. And what
about the life that this child has stripped away from him or her that never had a chance to have the life, to have sex, to go to university?
I see that point, but it also depends. What my thought process has always been is it depends on how far along they are.
Why?
Like for instance, because if you have an abortion at 7 or 8 months, that baby is pretty much born, and that baby is fully developed.
Okay.
That baby is fully developed.
So the development is what makes a person a person?
I think, yeah, because for a baby to have like consciousness, like when a baby is first born and when that baby is first conceived, that baby cannot survive nor thrive nor do anything without that mother.
That's true even outside of the womb, though.
Yeah, but it's once that baby is outside of the womb.
Can't survive on its own.
Yeah, but but like for instance, that baby is not gonna, like, if you disconnect the umbilical cord while it's in there, it's gonna die. When that baby's out, it can breathe on its own.
Yeah, I mean, we have a person. I think we have a human being that is dependent while in the womb upon the woman's body. Absolutely, but that doesn't, in my mind, doesn't dehumanize it to the point that we have a right to take away this person's justice and equality and protection.
How would you, like, let's say it was an accidental birth, or let's say that it was accidental conceived.
I was an accidental birth.
Or it was rape, or something like that. What is your thought on abortion then? Like, let's say that the mother knows that they cannot give that baby a decent life and knows that baby will live in poverty, maybe not even have opportunity to go to.
It's a good question. It's a good question. We don't know what kind of life somebody's going to have. We don't even know if the life of suffering is necessarily going to be a bad life for a person or bring about something. So I'm not sure if the potential of suffering should be the reason to execute another human being.
Even if you take away that part, what about rape? What about incest?
I think that this is a human being. I think that the act of rape was a wicked thing of a man imposing himself upon a woman's body, right? But the act of abortion, and I'm using this, is the act of a woman imposing her will upon the child that's in her womb. How is that any different?
Well, you also have to take into consideration that, yeah, it's wrong to kill the child, but it's also wrong to force it into pregnancy.
Why?
Well, because obviously there's suffering and there's emotional suffering.
But there's also emotional suffering when a woman aborts her child too. Do you realize that? I mean, the DSM-5 does not recognize it because they don't want to realize it. But when women go through an abortion, whether it be chemical or any other, that is a traumatic event for them. And there are many men who have girlfriends or wives that, wow, that's nice to hear, that go through trauma because of the death of their child.
Yeah, but I don't think it's comparable. I don't think it's comparable.
Why not?
Forcing a woman to go through pregnancy.
The comparison, your original question, which is a great question, the similarities that I see through, like this sign here, back in slavery days, they didn't believe he is my brother, right? That's from this abolition times. They didn't believe that slaves were human beings. Dred Scott decision. So we passed legislation to enslave them. Incrementally let that go on for years. Adolf Hitler. We don't believe that these Jews are human beings, so we passed legislations to slaughter them. In the United States of America, we don't believe that these babies in the womb are human beings, so we passed legislations to abort them. Based upon arbitrary what? Upon what you say, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you say consciousness, but that's arbitrary. Based upon what? You have a belief. I have a belief, ultimately speaking, that all human beings from the moment of fertilization are made in the image of God and deserve equal protection and equal justice. Some others can say, well, it's when it's 2 cells, when it's 3 cells, when it's an embryo, and we're just pulling things out of the air.
But it's also like for instance, with slavery and like stuff like that, I fear that stuff was, like the things that they were experiencing were far worse. Like for instance, this baby isn't like, when the baby is first born, like in the first trimester, I believe that after the second trimester, if you can't decide whether to have a baby or not, then that's on you. I think that in the third trimester, you shouldn't be able to get an abortion because that baby is...
These are arbitrary. I mean, how old is this baby? I don't know. I have other pictures of babies that are 7 weeks. I don't even know how old that baby is.
I just think to compare, I feel like people who went through slavery, it's far worse.
Well, the point is, not to the child that's getting ripped apart.
But the child doesn't.
Oh, they do. They swim away from it. There a lot of times they swim away. But even the ability to feel pain or not should not be the determination of whether a person is a human being or not, worthy of equal justice and equal protection.
Well, but it's for instance, with like slavery, these people had like, they could thrive on them, they could work on them. Like the baby is so dependent on everybody else.
Exactly.
And I don't think that I think people should be able to get an abortion if they want to get an abortion because that's part of their right. And I think that it's unfair to have, I get the sense when you're saying that if like, you know, let's say they didn't want to have a baby and they accidentally have one, but in cases like incest, they should totally be able to abortion.
Why should that be a death sentence for the child? The man who did the rape deserves the death penalty, in my opinion. But why should the child be executed for the sins of the father?
Because the mother doesn't want to have a baby in the first place. Most likely.
She can give up for adoption.
And yeah, but then but if you give that up for adoption, that you don't know what's going to happen to that. You don't know.
Do you believe that it's a human being?
I believe, to an extent, but I also believe that...
To what extent? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
okay. I just believe
to what
that
extent?
if someone is forced upon them to have a pregnancy and to have in this rape, like for instance, there are several cases, it's a lot of outlier cases, but there are several cases of girls 12, 14, 15 years old that are raped
tragic.
And forced to have a baby. And I think that's totally unfair because not only are they haven't even gone through any stages of life. They don't know they don't even know about themselves. And I just think that you can't force someone to have that baby, and you can't force someone to do that because once you have that baby's always going to be connected to you regardless if you're in its life or not.
But you still then are forcing the death of a child. See, on one hand, you're right, and this is something to your point. It's a difficult.
Back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know because the difficulty of a person having to go through birth, I think is vastly different than their body being chopped up or sucked into a vacuum or chemically killed.
Which one's more morally incorrect? But I mean, they're both wrong.
But one is death.
I think
the other one is inconvenience.
Who should have the authority?
Yeah, but exactly.
Yeah,
Who does have the authority?
I think the mother should have.
Do you? But that's not her body.
It is
No,
her
she
body.
didn't create it.
created
She didn't create it.
Yes, she did. Her
It's
body created it. Yeah, it's created by her body.
Exactly. It takes a man and a woman. The point is that she did not spontaneously create. She didn't spontaneously create that baby. It has to be a sperm and an egg. So there are two people, and then we have a human being in and of itself. So I guess my question is, what conditions need to be present for you to be okay with killing another human being?
Well, I'm not saying that it's okay. I said I agree with you that abortion is wrong.
Is abortion murder?
Yeah, I would say it's murder.
Okay, so you're okay with a woman who doesn't want to go through pregnancy, that she should have the right, the exemption to murder another human being?
Well, I think under certain
I'm not saying that it'd be
yes.
okay. I'm
Really?
saying that it's wrong to force her to do that in the country.
Because if
So the woman's discomfort, for lack of a better term, trumps the baby's autonomy and right to life.
I think that she has the authority to make that choice. I don't
Why?
necessarily agree with all of
because that's
choices.
What about the
country we
dad?
live in. Because in other countries, things like rape and incest and forcing people to have babies is not uncommon. And we live in a country where you're allowed to make that decision. That's what makes this country so great, that you can decide personally whether you want to have an abortion or not. And I think there are certain cases in which you should be able to have one. Like
To kill another human being. You think that I'm going to use my language though. You think that there's certain circumstances where one human being should be able to kill another human being because of inconvenience.
I think rape is far worse than murder, although the U.S. considers murder a lot worse than rape. If you go into any prison system or anything like that, or you talk to pretty much anybody, rape within
It's a terrible thing.
That crime is, you are going to get, if you go to jail or prison and you were convicted of rape or child molest or something like that, they're going to treat you very poorly and you're probably going to get killed. But if you go to jail and you committed murder, people are going to look at you with a lot more respect than if you committed rape.
Okay.
So I think morally, a lot of people think that rape and incest and stuff like that is far worse.
But
than murder.
I don't live my life by what a lot of people think. I live my life as a Christian according to the Word of God. And the Word of God says that all human beings, even from the moment of fertilization, is a human being and therefore deserve equal justice and equal protection.
I mean, in the Bible, it also says not to eat pork, though. Do you eat pork?
Well, the ceremonial laws have all been fulfilled by Jesus Christ. And in the book, let's not get down there, because the book of Acts said that we can eat pork, and the ceremonial law has been fulfilled. So the moral law is still intact. Thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not use God's name in vain, thou shalt not murder.
Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not rape, stuff like that.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
But then how can you justify it saying you shouldn't rape, but then you're okay with someone being raped and they have to take
I'm not okay with anybody being raped.
With it, but you're
Not in the
saying
least.
they have to take that baby.
Right, can I interject for a minute?
Yes.
Okay. When this, at conception, what you're calling a baby is no more than a cluster of cells, unidentified cells, simply that.
No, they're not identified. Even a zygote is identified as a zygote. All the DNA is present there.
It may be present, but it's not.
But it's there. It's not present.
It's
What's
not
that?
formed.
So what?
Baby yet.
So a child doesn't finish forming until they go through puberty.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So is development what makes a human being a human being?
the body is not formed yet.
What about the body and the body? Even a zygote is a body.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's good talking with
I
you.
would
Very
beg
good
to
questions.
differ. I would really beg to differ.
Go ahead.
Until there's a brainstem, that's not a human being.
So okay. How do you know that a brain stem is what makes a human being? By what standard? Where do you get that? But where do you get that?
All kinds of documentation.
Yeah, but where do they get? Where does it say? Do scientists have, like, when there's a brain
Until you
stem?
can think, you're not a human being.
Really?
Yes.
So people in comas who are not thinking right now, people who are mentally handicapped,
They still
people
have
that.
brain stems.
What's that?
They still have brain stems.
But this is a developing human being. A zygote, the single cell,
They have brain stems.
a
They
single
still
cell
have brain
human
stems.
being, a single
There's
cell.
no single cell human being.
What's a zygote?
Not a human being.
Not a human being.
Okay,
Thank you.
is it alive?
No.
Thank you.
Then why would it grow into
It's basically a parasite in your body.
a
Thank you.
parasite? A parasite cannot be of the same variety or species.
But it is not
so,
the same because
so
it's
if a dog
combination
has a
of two
tick,
genes.
a dog has a tick. The tick is a parasite. The dog is the host. A dog is pregnant. The embryos inside of that dog are not parasites. They are little puppies that are developing into
So you
dogs.
that leech off the mother's nutrients and have no.
So you think a
thinking
breastfeeding
feelings,
child is a leech too?
Thank you.
They have a brain. They have consciousness. They can feel hunger. They can
What that?
feel
Once
fear.
they
What's
have
that?
consciousness,
Yeah.
they're not human.
So according to what? You don't think that only those who have consciousness are human
Okay,
beings?
let me help you
Let
out.
me ask you that.
Okay,
Are
I'm going
only
to answer your question.
Okay.
So I have been in a coma. Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Did they
And
they have the right to kill you when you were in a coma?
I was having a wonderful time at the time.
Did they have the right
So
to
I
kill
was-
you? Is my
I was in a
question.
coma and I had brain function at the same
Okay.
time.
Did they have the right to kill you?
No, because I had brain function.
Okay.
Okay.
But you were a human being.
Yes,
you had
because
equal justice and
because
equal
I had
protection
brain
under the law.
function.
Where does brain function? Just because
That
a
makes you
zygote.
human.
What kind of zygote is in a woman?
It's a
What kind-
combination- a combination.
What kind
genes.
of zygote is in
It's
a
a
woman?
combination of
See, you're afraid to answer the question because you know what I'm going to say. What kind of zygote is in a woman?
What kind of zygote?
Yes, what kind of zygote? Is it a
It's
dog?
It's a combination of genes.
She won't answer it.
Male and the
What
female.
kind of, yes, and what kind of zygote is it? Male and
It's
female
product-
what?
It's the product
A male and female what?
of male and female humans.
Ah, thank you. And so the zygote is what?
Oh, well. I'm sorry.
The,
but
is
quite
the,
frankly,
the zygote is what?
quite frankly,
Answer the
I
question.
believe that
Answer the
you're a
question.
Christian. Are you a Christian?
Answer the
You
question.
said-
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Answer
And
the
you believe
question.
This is something between
Answer
you and God,
the question.
Not between, not, I'm saying
No, we don't
that's
have the
where-
right to do
that's the
that.
problem.
No,
I-
answer the question.
I believe it's
Answer the
between
question.
A woman and her God.
Answer the question.
And-
What about the child in God?
There's no child there yet.
But what kind of
If you look
zygote?
at
You won't answer the
if you-
question.
Wait a minute. If you look,
What kind of
you-
what kind of zygote is it?
it would be a human.
It would be a
would
human.
be
See,
a human.
it would be a human. It is a human zygote. It is. It is a human zygote.
Can I ask,
It's a
are
human
you a
zygote.
vegan?
What's that?
Are you a vegan?
No, I eat meat.
If you eat eggs, you're basically eating a fetus.
So?
You're basically eating chicken. We don't classify
What do I
it as
care?
chicken. It's an egg.
So ridiculous.
So?
It's like
But I'm not going to eat a human zygote.
the confirmation bias
Or a human egg.
is crazy.
What's that?
Because your my side bias and confirmation bias is insane because you're only taking.
What about yours? What about that? What
No,
about hers?
no, let me speak because
Go
you're
ahead.
still doing it now.
Okay.
You're still just trying to dissect it at any point.
Yes, I am.
Where it's like just from a point where you can argue semantics.
No, no, not semantics. Truth.
That's all. Oh yeah. See right there. It's literally right there in the speech. It's like it's truth as soon as it takes.
Yep. Yep.
And it's
No, it's not my word, my friend. Right here. The Bible says in John 17:17, thy word is truth. This is the truth that God has given us, and Jesus Christ said, I am the truth. So bias, absolutely.
Jesus
recognize
Christ write that?
I recognize my bias and I choose my bias. You don't even recognize your own bias, which is the bias against. I know, I don't know you. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. So I'm just saying that it's a human being from the moment of fertilization, and it deserves equal justice and equal protection under the law, based upon the reality that all human beings are made in the image of
Okay,
God.
so here's the thing. Okay? I'm in the habit of reading both the Bible and some of the Jewish scriptures. Okay? And they
What
talk about
besides?
women and
I don't know what you mean by Jewish scriptures.
Taurus.
Like what's in the Bible?
No, the Bible is Christian. The Torah is Jewish. There are other religions with other scriptures.
Well, other
they
other
overlap.
Jewish scriptures, okay, where they talk about waiting to go into a human being. There's a bunch of souls waiting to become human.
Or like Plato's pre-existence of the soul?
No, it's actually I wish I could remember where, because I would be happy to tell you. But I remember reading it as part of some of the Jewish scriptures. Okay, that they wait in heaven to become human.
So you believe in the pre-existence of the soul? What's that?
I don't have a problem.
Okay, so when there's a zygote, does the zygote have a soul?
I don't think so.
And when does the zygote get the soul?
When God decides.
Okay.
Okay? And I don't know the time.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think she's doing exactly what you did.
Well,
It's like,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
How is
I'm not
that?
blaming you.
How is that? How is that?
What?
What she makes an arbitrary statement that there's some sort of writings out there to say that there's the pre-existence of the soul, and then somewhere God decides when a person becomes a person. But I can point to an objective standard in the Bible that says all human beings are made in the image of God and therefore deserve equal justice and equal protection under the law, and that there's not an instance that I could think of that we should kill other human beings, innocent human beings.
But that's just your
You just
bias.
contradict yourself.
That is my bias, exactly. What's that?
You-
Innocent.
We shouldn't kill any humans unless they
Innocent.
wrong me. That's still.
I don't believe that. I think
But
that I think there are instances for the death penalty for sure. Do you think a man that rapes a
You
woman?
believe in the death penalty?
Yes, I do. Because these are not innocent human beings.
I caught
Yeah.
that earlier. I was like, it's so ironic.
Yeah, but you know why?
You believe in the death penalty?
Because my bias, my friend, is the Bible. And the Bible does say that there are instances where the death penalty is justified. Rape would be one of them.
Isn't that a contradiction?
Not at all.
You're killing someone.
Innocent human beings versus a guilty human being.
Yeah, but it's not. Don't kill any innocent people who are made in the
The commandment is thou shalt not murder. That is very different. The state has the right to execute somebody that has broken or committed a capital crime.
But that's just you're still murdering. So yeah.
No, it's not murder. Killing and murdering are two different things. When the state executes a criminal that has been,
So?
yeah,
So aren't all people sinners? Though?
yes, all people sinners.
Yeah.
Yes, we are all guilty before God. Absolutely. And we will, unless we repent of our sin in Jesus Christ, we will have the death penalty of going to hell for all eternity. But in this life, we have the opportunity to repent of our sin, to turn to Christ and have Him forgive us of our sin and have live eternal life.
Before that happens,
You go to hell. Absolutely. What's that?
shouldn't they be allowed the chance?
We all have that chance. But ultimately, it's God.
Not if you're put under the death penalty.
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
There's a lot of conversions when people are on death row. That's probably the greatest place to do evagelism.
I'm sorry, I'm just so blown away that you agree with
Yeah.
the death penalty.
Yeah,
At the end,
absolutely.
they just still die, even if.
I don't agree with letting up.
I would say it's murder, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just concerned about like your bias and how you're saying that anything else is basically arbitrary.
hmm Yeah, how do you know? That's my point.
No, but that's like the fact that you're arguing so
Definitively.
definitively for an arbitrary system where it's like
Not arbitrary at all.
because like laws in the way that you can cite the Bible
Mhm.
or your bias, anyone else could cite the law in the way that they cited it for justification for slavery.
Yeah, but none of those laws are a self-authenticating statement. The Bible claims within itself to be the Word of God. The arbitrary. How do you know?
Also arbitrary. How do you know that? That's
Because the Bible,
arbitrary as well. The
because
Bible
I
is
believe
also
it's an ultimate. Not at
it's a
all.
belief. I don't blame you for believing. It's your belief. You have a right.
No,
to
I'm going
believe.
by the Bible, what it says itself.
When
That's circular reasoning.
No, it's not. Not with ultimate presuppositions. We went through there. Ultimate presuppositions have to be self-authenticating. If they're authenticated by another presupposition, it means it's not an ultimate presuppositions.
Yeah, but
So it's not begging the
presupposition
question.
Is the Bible saying that it's true?
The Bible's
If I told you-
presupposition
if I
is.
told you
Yes,
I was telling the
absolutely.
truth, wouldn't that be an
No,
ultimate
because that's a self-defeating presupposition. That's like saying there are no absolutes. That's an absolute statement.
So how is that any different than the Bible saying that it's true?
Because the Bible is the revelation of God Himself.
But it's-
Yours. This is not arbitrary. You're even saying that. What's that?
The Bible is telling you that it's the revelation.
Exactly.
And because of what it's telling you, you believe it.
Yes.
No, that's
Yes.
circular reasoning.
No, not for ultimate presuppositions.
It doesn't make a difference.
Of course it does.
basically,
Absolutely.
Everyone else is wrong except for in my case where I am right because I am right.
Not me. The Bible.
Yeah.
So I'm only right when I'm in line with what the Scripture says. How do you know you're right, and how do you know that there is a right and a wrong?
the only reason why I feel strongly about
You-
my belief of women's bodily autonomy.
You feel that way. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, a belief in the way that you feel your way.
I don't feel it. I know it to be objective. But go ahead.
It's like,
I'm consistent.
Yeah.
I have an objective standard. Yours is a feeling.
You can say whatever you want. It's your belief.
I'm just going by what you said. You said it's a feeling.
You're doing the thing. Let me speak. Okay, so when it comes to women's bodily autonomy, it's just a matter of their health. Because when it comes to a baby who, like for instance, I was watching a video where this lady was in her like third trimester, and the doctors were literally telling her that the baby will not be viable because half of its skull did not develop. And she literally had to travel 400 miles to another state to just receive some care, but she didn't even get to get an abortion. She had to have a C-section. And it's just like, all of this is so detrimental to women's health. It's the fact that you're putting women in jeopardy when they can have safer alternatives. You're creating a scenario where...
Well, first of all, you've created a scenario of...
No.
It's not a scenario if it's real.
Yeah, this is...
So we should chop up that baby before it comes out?
The reality
that makes no sense.
This is subjecting women to death in many...
What about subjecting that child to death?
It's not a child, it's a clump of cells.
You're a clump of cells.
Subjecting my
With a
16-year-old
brain
cousin
cell.
to give birth to a rapist baby.
What's that?
Subjecting my 16-year-old cousin to give birth to a rapist baby because of some...
So we should kill the baby?
So we should make my cousin go through that?
Yes. Because we should not...
Don't act
because...
like a moral
What's
high
that?
ground.
I do.
No, I'm not going to hell because I'm not preaching this shit. I'm not being some false prophet, okay?
How am I a false prophet?
Understand that using God to push your own message, that's not... Read the Bible.
I have read the Bible in Greek and in Hebrew and in Spanish and several times in different versions in English.
I mean, your argument basically boils down to women's rape cases being an inconvenience to them over the death of a baby.
No, my argument comes down to that all human beings, regardless of the stage of the development that they are in, are worthy of equal protection and equal justice under the law. That's my argument.
You should agree that it is wrong to force a woman to go through pregnancy.
Not at all.
Especially in unwanted cases.
No.
Just say you don't care about...
I think it would be wrong. I think it's... I think...
Excluding the...
Because it's...
Because it's...
No, why would I acquiesce to that?
Well, I'm not saying that you have to agree with that abortion is okay. I'm just saying that you should agree that it's wrong to force a woman.
Why would I agree to that?
Because it's true.
Because she has to go through the inconvenience of pregnancy and birth. That baby deserves. Let me say this: that baby deserves the death penalty because she doesn't want to go through the inconvenience of pregnancy and birth.
I'm not saying that it's a justification.
The baby will have to go through the death penalty to be executed because she doesn't want to go through the inconvenience of pregnancy and death.
Do you even know what pregnancy is like?
Yeah, I have 5 kids.
Have you had a baby?
No, you haven't.
I have been there from moment of conception all the way to the birth of my children, all the way to them leaving home.
What it's like to be a woman.
So what?
Until you get brought out of your penis hole, I don't want to hear.
Wrong based on what?
You're
based on what?
Yeah, I know. I'm not. No, that's the thing. It's like this is still just like surface level. Like,
based on what?
Letting it go.
You said wrong. Based on what?
Based on your lack.
No. Based on what? Not forget my. Based on what?
Ignorance of women's experiences.
I have 5 kids. I've been married twice.
You can't understand it.
But I still
can't understand what it's like to be a woman.
So I don't have a right to say that she should not have legally the right to kill another human being. I mean, think about it.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why does God have authority over us?
Because he's God and he's the creator.
Because he created us?
Yes, absolutely. And because he's God. She didn't create the baby.
She did.
No, she didn't.
Her body created it.
Her body did not create it. She made it with a sperm and an egg fused together, created a human being. A sperm and an egg. No, you said that. A sperm and egg fused together, right? And that zygote.
Where did the atoms come from?
From God.
No, they come from her body.
She created the atoms?
No, but the atoms exist within her body.
Yeah, but did she create the atoms?
Well, your reasoning is that God has authority over us.
Of course he does.
And we live in his world.
Yes.
So a woman created the baby.
No, she didn't.
Her world.
No, she was pregnant. So her egg was fertilized by a sperm.
So if her body wasn't there, it would form on its own.
I'm sorry, what's your question?
If the woman was non-existent, the baby would form on its own.
No, not at all.
So she created it. She's
No,
a necessary
she didn't create
part.
it. She's a necessary part of it, yes.
Yeah.
I agree with
She's
that.
creating it.
I agree with that.
Nutrients are coming from
That we do not have the technology.
Maybe because I mean, you might be misconstruing it as she's consciously creating it. Her body is creating it.
Her body certainly is housing the human being now, absolutely.
But it's taking from her energy, from her food sources, from her body.
So?
She is using her own body to make it. Does that not make her a creator?
No, she didn't create it.
Okay,
she's housing
it.
it.
It creates itself.
I mean, we're just talking basic biology now.
So it creates itself, but it's using her resources.
Yes.
So.
And my resources for me providing for my wife if she's pregnant or she's doing that. I mean, we have a symbiotic relationship, all of us human beings. And even a child outside of the womb has to depend upon mommy and daddy, sometimes through breastfeeding or formula.
Yeah,
that child cannot live.
It's interchangeable. It could be anyone. Right?
But why does that child outside of the womb have more value than the child inside?
I don't think it does.
Okay.
But
so you're on my side. Here's the sign.
So I don't agree that women shouldn't have a choice over it.
Okay.
Because I think it's wrong in both. I think it's wrong to abort a child.
Based on what? See, you use the word wrong. You use the word wrong. What is wrong, and how do you know it's wrong?
Well, I'm using logic to determine it.
Logic?
My own personal experience. Yeah. Don't do this shit again.
So logic can determine what is right and what's wrong. Does logic make moral statements?
No.
Yeah.
No, it does.
Not moral truths, but moral statements.
I mean, if A equals A, is that a moral statement?
No, it's a logical statement.
Okay. So logic and morality are not necessarily interfused.
Morality is such an objective statement because morality is objective because morality is different for everyone. Morality is different.
That would be subjective.
Subjective. It's subjective for different people, different cultures.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So,
Except is there an objective morality, because both of these guys have used the word wrong. So if morality is simply subjective, then how could they possibly use the word wrong beyond I feel it's wrong?
I think you did a really good job of like distracting from the point I was.
No, that's the thing. It's
No, I didn't intend to, Brandon. I didn't intend to.
But this is why it's like you're so used to doing it in this way, where it's like you'll like just it's the confirmation bias. Well, you'll cherry pick very specific things to kind of just.
But my friend, I have an objective standard, the Bible, that I can point to, and you could match what I say against the word. I'm asking you. You use the word wrong. How do you know something's wrong?
So what if people haven't read the Bible?
How do you know?
It still exists?
No, come on.
No, I'm like it's because I wanted.
I really want to
I
know.
wanted to hear your stance. But
I'd like to hear yours.
I gave you my stance.
What's right and what's wrong, and how do you know it?
I'm too cold to argue with this because this is.
I'm
like,
just trying to understand.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. Like you just prance around as if you're like trying to, but you're not because you're trying to dissect it.
I just asked you a simple question. How do you know whether something is wrong or not?
I guess I agree with what you said. It's like logical reasoning, experience. It's like what I said with people's experiences. They deal with a lot of shit that you don't understand or care to understand.
Okay.
That's it. Like that's.
And maybe you don't understand the experience of a child being chopped up in a womb. Whatever stage it is in. Because I believe in equal justice for all human beings and equal protection for all human beings. You may arbitrarily say a human being is consciousness or brain stems or whatever. My objective view from the scripture is that all human beings from the moment of fertilization deserve equal justice and equal protection. And the politicians or the majority should not decide on what is a human being, because we see in slavery, we see in the Holocaust, and we see in abortion when it becomes arbitrary. You're not following my argument. I do.
It makes sense, yeah. I agree with most of this stuff, besides the religious aspect. I don't think that's ultimate.
So are you ultimate?
No.
But you were talking about your subjective feelings or subjectivity. Is that ultimate?
No, but I think you're only taking one part of the question into acknowledgement. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot more to it, and I think that at the end of the day, you have to decide who should be able to make that choice.
Well, unfortunately,
I don't think
this legislature, then those with the political power make the choice, oftentimes because of a population, and that's why we had slaves. That's why we had the Holocausts all over, and that's why we have this Holocaust right
That's
now.
not
Yeah, but
necessarily
that
true.
kind
It's
of,
a
Of course it is.
contradicts your
What is a minority?
You know what a minority is.
No, what minority are you talking about?
I think it means like what context.
Yeah.
Okay, the minority of like, even what you're talking about with the Nazis, it's like a very few amount of people that are deciding things. It's like,
Are you kidding me? Do you think that the Holocaust could have happened in Nazi Germany if it wasn't for a complicit and complacent population?
no, but I'm agreeing with that. Like, I do agree with like the majority did eventually come into it, but I'm saying a minority implanted this ideology.
Sure. I agree. I agree with that.
I don't think that like, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble thinking about it now because I'm too cold.
What's your name? I'm cold too. It's good talking. What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin, nice to meet you. Really, it's good to see you again. I got to get going too.
How you doing?
And what's your name?
Cody.
Cody. Good discussion. I mean, really, very good discussion. I appreciate it, and that's part of what I'm doing. I am like an abolitionist of old, of the slave abolitionists. I'm an abortion abolitionist, and part of our role and duty, if you study them, is to agitate and get people talking about something that we should be talking about. And most of the time, what everybody argues with me are the exceptions rather than the fact that most abortions happen because people just don't want the inconvenience of being pregnant rather than they're going to die or the baby's skull's not developed or
I
whatever.
think most people do it out of fear. I don't think it's good.
I stand in front of abortion clinics, man.
I think you're like, oh, this is bothersome. Most people are afraid to do it, you know?
Yeah, probably so. Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, there are many women who loved being pregnant and love to give birth and are more than happy to go through the pain.
And that's their choice. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Yep.
other women should have the choice to not go through that if they don't.
Yeah, that would be fine. And I think that if this was a little girl, she should have the choice, should have had the choice too. That's my point.
Well, until she can vocalize it.
Until she can vocalize it, I will vocalize it for her. That's what an abolitionist does.
What-
Take care, guys.
When are you going to be here next? I like to talk about the apologetics of it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. If you look this up on the internet, Abolish Abortion CT, my email address is on there.
You're a
And-
professor, right?
No.
You used to be.
Yeah, I've done different teachings. I've been a chaplain and stuff. Yeah, I've done a little bit of teaching on college level.
What did you teach?
On high school level, I did philosophy, civics, psychology, Bible. Yeah.
That's all stuff I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, take care.
Have a good day.
You too.